Terror attack, the possible motive now revealed. This morning, a nationwide emergency declared overseas in the wake of that deadly Easter attack. As new images emerge, suspects seen with heavy backpacks just moments before the blast. Now at least 40 arrested, and the death toll climbing. The 11-year-old American boy who went to school in Washington, D.C., his father's heartbroken message. And the question this morning, were warnings from the U.S. ignored?
Overnight, the impeachment debate. Democrats divided as their candidates take center stage and take on President Trump.
Breaking overnight, another major earthquake overseas, the second in just 24 hours. Whoa. Causing massive apartment buildings to sway, water pouring from a rooftop pool, and the race to rescue survivors.
New clues in that teen murder mystery. A new video of the suspect accused of killing 2 girls in Indiana, and a new sketch as police warn the killer could be hiding in plain sight. Their chilling message this morning.
ABC News exclusive, the new Amazon announcement right here and how it will impact you.
And a big happy birthday to little Prince Louis, the young royal turning 1 today. The brand new photos taken by mom, Duchess Kate, and how she, Prince William, George, and Charlotte are celebrating.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
Yes, he looks just like his dad. Good morning, America. Hope you're well this Tuesday morning. We have a lot of news to get to.
We do.
We have a lot of news to get to, and we're going to begin with the latest from that terror attack overseas. Authorities are now naming a motive as ISIS also claims responsibility.
This as authorities make more arrests. Our foreign correspondent James Longman is there on the scene for us again this morning. Good morning, James.
Hi, good morning, Robin. As we come on the air, as you've said, we have now had a claim of responsibility by ISIS. It's come through one of their news channels. Now, it's not clear what, if any, material help they've given at this stage, but their claim does reinforce fears here that a foreign network was involved. Now, I'm at St. Sebastian Church, where more than 100 people died. You can see blown out windows and doors just behind me. Today is a national day of mourning. This country shocked and angry at attacks that could have been stopped.
This morning, death looms large over Sri Lanka as the toll from Sunday's suicide attack passes 300. A nationwide state of emergency remains in effect as memorial services get underway for the victims. At least 40 people have now been arrested in connection with the attacks, and we're now seeing security footage showing a man with a backpack believed to be one of the bombers approaching St. Sebastian Church just before the attack. Police investigating these videos watch as the man winds his way through the people who would become his victims. Another angle shows him walking by while worshippers prayed. Minutes later, the roof blown completely off. Among the victims, children of Danish billionaire Anders Holk Poulsen. The biggest shareholder behind the fashion brand ASOS was on vacation with his family when the blast went off, killing 3 of his 4 children. The bombings also claiming the lives of at least 4 Americans.
We mourn the loved ones of the victims, some of whom we can confirm were indeed U.S. citizens. This is America's fight, too.
The first U.S. casualty to be identified, Dieter Kowalski from Denver. He was standing in line waiting for breakfast when the bomb went off. And 11-year-old Kieran Shafritz de Zoyzer from Washington, D.C. His grieving father still in shock.
I don't know what's in the mind of a terrorist, but they, I'm sure, don't know what they took. They do not know what they took from the world. A brilliant mind who was going to be a neuroscientist, and now he won't make it to his 12th birthday.
It's very, very sad. Now, the FBI is helping with the investigation while authorities here are coming under increased pressure to explain why, after repeated warnings, they failed to stop these horrors. And today, a suggestion from the government that this was in retaliation for the New Zealand mosque attacks. Robin?
All right, James, thank you.
Okay, Robin, authorities have arrested at least 40 suspects believed to be linked to a local terrorist group. And as we heard, ISIS is now claiming responsibility. ABC's chief global affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz has more from Washington on that and the possible motive. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, Cecilia. It was the defense minister in Sri Lanka who is now saying this attack was in retaliation for the mosque attack in New Zealand. Just last month, an Australian man was charged in that mass shooting, but the Sri Lankan authorities offered no proof, although they are under intense scrutiny given the failure to act on clear, specific information that a little-known local radical Islamist group was planning to target churches. Sri Lankan investigators had been tracking the group, but that secret security warning had not been shared with the public. And the question is, Cecilia, could lives have been saved?
And American officials are certainly going to want to know the answer to that as well. James just said it, that the FBI is involved in this now. Do you have any sense of what they've been learning?
Well, the FBI and others are looking to see what kind of outside help the group may have had, including potential links to ISIS. This was clearly well planned with multiple suicide bombings, 6 different locations and 3 different cities. And while we do not know yet for certain whether ISIS or some other international terror group was involved, even despite that claim, the sophistication and the horrific nature of this violence, including children, has all the hallmarks of ISIS or like-minded groups. Cecilia?
Yeah, so much destruction there. Okay, Martha, thank you. George?
Okay, Cecilia, we're going to stay in Washington for the debate over impeachment. In the wake of the Mueller report, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi trying to bridge the divide among Democrats as the 2020 candidates took the stage in town halls in New Hampshire. Our chief White House correspondent John Carl has the story. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. Facing intense pressure to begin impeachment proceedings in the House, Nancy Pelosi convened an extraordinary conference call with House Democrats yesterday. She heard from many who want that impeachment process to start now, but she made it clear she wants to hold off, at least for now. As Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi faces intense pressure from fellow House members to begin impeachment proceedings. Some of the most high-profile Democratic presidential candidates are now piling on, too. To illustrate how strongly she feels about impeaching Donald Trump, Elizabeth Warren offered up a new Democratic rallying cry: lock him up.
If any other human being in this country had done what's documented in the Mueller report, they would be arrested and put in jail.
Warren was the first major Democratic presidential candidate to respond to the Mueller report by calling for impeachment. During a series of CNN town hall meetings last night, Senator Kamala Harris said she too wants impeachment hearings.
I believe Congress should take the steps towards impeachment.
The embrace of impeachment puts Warren and Harris at odds with Pelosi, who is preaching caution. We should proceed down a path of finding the truth, Pelosi wrote in a letter to members of the House. It is also important to know that the facts regarding holding the president accountable can be gained outside of impeachment hearings. Warren rejected Pelosi's call for caution.
There is no political inconvenience exception to the United States Constitution.
But not all Democratic presidential candidates are on the impeachment bandwagon.
All that the Congress is talking about is impeaching Trump and Trump and Mueller. What I worry about is that works to Trump's advantage.
There is a third way to hold this president accountable, and that is by defeating him in the 2020 election. And I believe I can do that.
I think he's made it pretty clear that he deserves impeachment. I'm also going to leave it to the House and Senate to figure that out, because my role in the process is trying to relegate Trumpism to the dustbin of history.
Regardless, President Trump insists he's not concerned in the least.
Are you worried about impeachment, Mr. President?
I'm told Pelosi's conference call lasted well over an hour, George, and was quite impassioned. Although she made the case for proceeding cautiously and not starting impeachment now, she also pointedly did not rule it out. What she said the House should start doing now, though, is go through a series of investigations outside of the impeachment process.
Okay, John, thanks very much. Let's get more on that right now from our senior national correspondent, Terry Moran. And Terry, that impeachment, just one part of a multi-front showdown between the White House and the Congress over White House operations and the president's personal business.
That's exactly right, George. What's happening here is the Democrats are getting very aggressive now that the Mueller investigation has closed on these new fronts. For example, today the president is now suing his own accounting firm and the House Oversight Committee because that committee has subpoenaed vast amounts of the business records of Donald Trump. Trump says that he doesn't have to turn those over as a private citizen. Congress doesn't have the power to do this. The problem is Congress probably does have the power to do that. On another front, one of the critical witnesses in the Mueller report, the former White House counsel Don McGahn, who told Robert Mueller that the president had ordered him to get Mueller fired at the Justice Department. And then when that didn't work, the president, and that story broke, the president ordered McGahn to lie to the public that he had ever given such an order. The House now wants McGahn in the witness chair, and the president is trying to block that as well. So you see, this is just beginning. Democrats getting very aggressive, seeking information from President Trump's private financial records. He's fighting back. It'll end up in court.
No question about that. Could string out for quite a long time. Meantime, another deadline is being met today. The deadline the House set for the president to turn over his tax returns.
That's right. So the House now wants the president's personal tax returns dating back several years. The president says this is a fishing expedition, but the House is relying on that old 1924 law, which allows certain chairs of the committees that write tax laws to subpoena anyone's tax returns. And the law is pretty clear. It says the Treasury Secretary shall turn over those tax returns. If Secretary Mnuchin does not do that today, the House might vote to find him in contempt, and that'll end up in court, too.
A lot of battles ahead. Tara Morant, thanks very much. Robin?
A lot of battles indeed, George. Overseas now to two powerful earthquakes that are rocking the Philippines. Early this morning, another one shaking the center of the country on the heels of Monday's deadly quake that killed at least 11 people. Rescue crews are on the scene pulling survivors from the rubble. Ian Pannell has the latest for us. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, Robin. That's right. Rescuers still fighting to deal with the aftermath of Monday's quake when the ground started to shake again in another major seismic strike. Overnight, another earthquake rocking the Philippines as the country's still reeling from Monday's 6.1 magnitude quake. The monster killing at least 16 people, with many still missing and over 80 injured. Search and rescue efforts pulling people from under the debris. Family members rushing to their loved ones as they try to save anyone they can. A brief moment of joy as rescue workers celebrate after this man's pulled out from underneath the wreckage alive. Several buildings in complete ruins, others heavily damaged, like this church. And this airport north of Manila, the former home to an American Air Force base that left 7 people injured and over 100 flights cancelled. The quake so strong, water from a pool on top of this skyscraper gushing down the moment the quake hit, as the race goes on to find the missing. The Philippines part of the so-called Ring of Fire, which means it does see a lot of seismic activity, but still, 2 earthquakes in 2 days, a massive burden for residents and rescuers alike. George?
No question about that, okay, and thank you very much. We're going to get the latest now on that would-be billionaire now facing bankruptcy and possibly years in jail. Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes appeared in court to set a trial date as she faces charges of fraud. ABC's Lindsay Davis here with that story. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, George. Just a few years ago, she was named one of Forbes' richest women in America. Today, she is estimated to be worth $0, charged with an elaborate years-long fraud, accused of duping investors out of millions of dollars by claiming to have a blood testing technology that prosecutors say her company simply did not have.
Elizabeth Holmes, the self-made CEO once worth an estimated $9 billion, seen here walking out of federal court in San Jose on Monday. The appearance of the former Theranos founder comes as the judge is expected to set a trial date in July. Holmes is currently facing charges on wire fraud and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. The now 35-year-old dropped out of Stanford at 19 to start Theranos, a company promising to revolutionize the healthcare industry with a few drops of blood. And after modeling her career after tech giants like Steve Jobs,
do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
The former CEO now stands before federal prosecutors who say she knew Theranos products did not work.
I don't know, at that moment what I understood.
Holmes was spotted a few weeks ago, Inside Edition capturing a much different side of the former CEO. The once signature black turtleneck she donned, gone. Holmes seen here wearing a white T-shirt and a cap.
A lot of people think it was heartless that you were partying at Burning Man when your company was closing its doors.
The drama unfolds before America with a slew of cover stories, from documentaries to books to the ABC News podcast, The Dropout, now being adapted into a Hulu series starring SNL's Kate McKinnon. One of Silicon Valley's biggest stars, who's used to the cameras, is coming under a harsher spotlight.
Defense attorneys say they need more time so that they can review 1 million pages of documents. Holmes has entered a plea of not guilty. If convicted, she could face a maximum of 20 years in prison and a fine of more than $2 million. It's possible that the judge could delay the start of the trial until next year.
Okay. Lindsay, thanks very much.
Lindsay, we're going to turn now to a big setback for Samsung. The company is delaying the Friday release of their nearly, listen to this, $2,000 foldable phone after complaints of screens breaking. ABC's Janae Norman is here with more. A lot of people not so happy about that.
Right. So good morning, Cecilia. So Samsung promised us a phone that folds into the size of a small tablet, all for the princely sum $2,000. Well, it appears the phone is not quite ready for prime time. Test users reporting all sorts of problems with the aptly named Samsung Galaxy Fold. Debris getting underneath the screen, malfunctioning displays, even total failure of the device after just a couple days of basic usage. Then there was the problem of users removing the protective layer off the screen, thinking it was just a simple screen protector, but apparently this layer is not to be removed. Samsung promises to be more clear about that. Samsung introduced the Fold to much fanfare back in February, and it was seen as a game changer in an industry that's become pretty stagnant. Its 4.5-inch screen expanding to more than 7 inches. But these images, not as pretty as the one Samsung showed us at that announcement. Yeah, not quite so nice looking there. Certainly not what the company nor users expected.
Yeah, if you're going to pay $2,000 for a phone, it should be working, right? Samsung isn't giving up, though. They say they're going to still release this at some point soon.
Right. So, I mean, a phone that costs $2,000, it should make calls for you, respond to emails for you. But that's the big, right. But that's the big question. In a statement acknowledging that improvements must be made, all Samsung would say is to fully evaluate this feedback and run further internal tests. We have decided to delay the release of the Galaxy Fold. We plan to announce the release date in the coming weeks. So it's really anyone's guess when the phone of the future will arrive. But when it does, we hope that it is worth every penny.
Or the price comes down.
Yeah, or that too.
It'll be fine.
Somewhere I hear my parents laughing right now. $2,000 for a phone.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I hear you, Mom and Dad.
Thanks, Janae. A lot of other stories we're following this morning, including the latest on that Indiana murder mystery. A lot of new clues are out there. This new video of the suspect accused of killing 2 teens hiking in the woods. Also a new sketch and an audio clip of his voice. And we've got some chilling warnings from the police on that.
Also this morning, an ABC News exclusive, Amazon's major announcement that could change the way you receive your deliveries. You're going to see it here first on GMA. But right now, let's get over to Ginger.
Let's do that, and let's start with the tornado. Very rarely do we get to call a tornado beautiful, but this one's in a field not impacting anyone. That rope tornado formation. I've been storm chasing since I was in college, and I've seen a couple of these. They are just gorgeous when they're not hurting anybody. It was one of 2 reported tornadoes in Texas yesterday. That was in Fisher County. Same storm did this in the Sandia Mountains of New Mexico. That is thunder snow, so snow's flying in a thunderstorm, and you see the lightning flash there on their tower cam. So really wanted to capture the energy and the potency of this storm that will be so slow moving, associated with this stationary front. That's why it's so slow moving. Today, it's Big Spring, Texas, Odessa, San Angelo. Tomorrow, Austin, San Antonio, and Laredo, all with the potential of having damaging wind and hail primarily. A quick look at the rain that comes with it, too. I-35, Dallas to Waco, trouble. Your local weather in 30 seconds. First, the Tuesday Trivia, sponsored by Fitbit.
Meteorologist Veronica Johnson here, dressed like it's a day in early June. It's going to feel amazing with low humidity. Temperatures rise very quickly through the 60s, mid to upper 70s by lunchtime today, 82 to 83 degrees around 3, 4 o'clock, and a real nice evening as well. So make plans to get outdoors today. Your next best rain chance comes Friday with some showers during the morning and even the afternoon, maybe even some thunderstorms. That system moves out by the weekend. Right now, your weekend 68 to 71 degrees.
The Easter Bunny has really left its mark in weather. Let me show you what people have been seeing. Yes, that is an Easter Bunny cloud in Pennsylvania. Amazing, right?
It's kind of a dark Easter Bunny.
It is a little bit. Slightly ominous. It's a Tim Burton Easter Bunny. And then there's the hail Easter Bunny in Colorado.
It's pretty.
You're welcome. Happy spring.
We'll be right back.
This kitchen, open concept, complete with a modern art gallery, and the master bath, masterpiece. A home gym! Smells looking good.